level. And so as I look at the relationship between Indonesia and the United Kingdom, I would hope that we would have a strategic partnership between us two, recognizing Indonesia wishes to remain bebas dan aktif. That's something I completely respect.
Right.
But to look for ways where we can leverage the UK's, we're a 6th or 7th largest economy in the world, member of the Security Council, part of NATO, close relationships in the global north, but also across the Commonwealth, the global south, etc. Leverage the UK's relationships, working with Indonesia in some of the ways that Indonesia wishes to have relationships with China that we don't have. We have a relationship with China, but you have a very different one as Indonesia. Yeah. In Southeast Asia, elsewhere across the global south, to see what it is that we can do together that perhaps would be just more difficult for Indonesia on its own or for the United Kingdom. And I think there is the possibility for creative, interesting conversations, because in both countries we have a new leadership. We have Prime Minister Starmer, we've got President Prabowo coming in, and they both want to do something extraordinary for their country. They have ambitions that are really challenging to deliver. Prime Minister Starmer, he talks about getting some of the fastest rates of growth in the UK for a G7, for a G20 country. We're talking about becoming a global superpower on clean energy. We can't do that on our own. We need partnership with countries like Indonesia to achieve that. And I know that Pak Prabowo's ambitions are quite extraordinary around rates of growth, around education, around nutrition in this country, tackling challenges around healthcare. These are all areas where collaboration, I think, is at the heart of it. And where you started, Geeta, in this question around some of the global issues that challenge us all, that's actually where I think maybe oxygenating some of the discussions and thinking about, well, actually, what is it that we could do with the UK, our history in the Middle East? It's a very distinct one. With what Indonesia has been doing through the OIC, well, maybe there'd be a way of approaching this differently if we think about it in a more creative manner. So I'm always looking, Geeta, for a bilateral angle to see how we, as two nations, two great nations, can contribute to some of these global issues, be they geopolitical or be they economic, be they environmental. And I think now, with two new leaderships, is exactly the time to be thinking about how we achieve that.
I see a grand opportunity for both countries, and I can speak for Indonesia. I think it's safe to assume that the president-elect, who's going to be inaugurated tomorrow, he has tremendous internationalist instinct, and I would be presumptuous of his intentions of further diversifying the posturing of Indonesia, right? I think, we're very close to China, but I think the president-elect also would like to maintain closeness to